Hey, what's up, guys? Paul from Paul's Karts here. This is the bike. I've been having a couple of questions regarding torque converter settings and stuff like that. So, what I'm running here on this is a 40 series torque converter. Now, it's been customized a lot. What's been customized on it is, hey, that's some of my sneaker right there. I don't know if you can see that red. That's my sneaker. Yeah, this thing is it's a meat grinder for sure. You know, your heel's right there on it, so it's kind of sketchy. But I had a couple people ask me, you know, how to set up the torque converters and stuff like that. And what I do is there's a few different setups you can run. I mean, really what it all comes down to is, you know, what your engine idles at. This bike being on methanol most of the time, has a methanol 40 millimeter Super VN carb on it. So this engine being on methanol most of the time, what happens is you can't get it to idle that low. So, you know, when I tried to turn down my carburetor, the idle adjustment on it, it just dies out. So that was the number one hurdle with the torque converter. You know, the first time I started the bike, obviously I didn't have a belt on it. I just started it just to see, you know, where it was idling at. And the Micron was saying that it was idling at, you know, 2,700 RPMs. I was able to adjust the carburetor, the idle screw on the carburetor down, which on the Mikuni Super BN is right here. So I was able to turn that down a little bit, but what's, you know, the least I could get it down to, I think, was 2,400 RPMs. Now, when you look on the Comet website, you can get basically the owner's manual to the Comet 40 series. Now, this is a true Comet setup. You can tell the true Comet, it has the welds, and this is it's stamped Comet. Some wouldn't know, maybe it's not, but the Chinese ones have like 3 holes drilled right here. This one factory only has 1 hole drilled in it, but I drilled 2 more. So the driven pulley, the drive pulley, which is the one on the axle, the one on the engine, the driver, that's the one that is going to do all of your engagement speeds. So, you know, coming off from a stop, or starting back up while you're rolling, that is what's going to engage the belt at a certain RPM. Now, you can adjust the engagement on those by replacing the springs and the sling weights inside of it. Now, there's 3 sets of weights and well, there's 3 weights and 3 springs in each of these 40 series driver pulleys. And I think the stock ones are yellow, and then they might have a white, and then the heaviest ones are red. And there's 2 different sets of weights, or 3 different sets of weights. There's a stock one, then there's a medium and a light. And then you know, you just got to configure it. So going from, say, the stock yellow springs with the heavy weights, which would be the weakest or the lowest stall, I think that's 1,600 RPMs. It's going to want to, you know, start moving out. And, you know, if I started this, you know, if it had that, when it had all like the stock stuff in it, right when it was started, it was already fully contracted. So, I mean, if I had the belt on it when I started, it would have just drove away. So, whenever you're setting up a bike for the first time with a torque converter, never start it with the belt on. So, you know, if you have an idle, say around above 2,000 RPMs, what you're going to need to do is get the red springs and the light weights. Those for the 40 series driver will get you, I think, 2,600 RPMs, is the max you can get out of the springs just from buying them from Comet. Now, I tried that, and I tried the lightweights, and I tried the red springs. You know, the lowest I can get this bike to idle, I think, is 2,400, but it wants to be at like 2,800. So I wanted to have the engagement around 3,000 RPMs. So I had to get custom. I had to get creative with it. So I did some customization to the driver. Now, when it comes to the driven pulley is basically how you affect or how you control the transmission, basically how your transmission you know, applies the pressure. Now, there's on most of the Chinese ones you get, there are 3 settings or 3 drill holes, and what the drill holes do is, because when you take the lock ring off the end, the snap ring, if you take that off and you start pulling this thing off, it's like preloaded. Like, you turn it and then push it down, and then you put the snap ring on. So you preload the spring before you push it down. Now, if there's holes drilled in it, you can put it in a further hole to apply more preload when you're locking it down. Now, if it's a true Comet, you're going to have to drill holes and experiment with how much pressure you want to put on that spring before you lock it down into place. But by applying more preload to the spring, it's keeping more tension on that rear pulley. So the driver, the front pulley, you know, when you hit the gas, it's going to sling those weights out and it's going to squeeze the belt. Now, this one will either follow right along in stock position, or if you add more tension, it'll kind of give some resistance. Now, the more tension you put on this preloaded spring, you will be able to make the torque converter work longer, or what I call, you can lean on the converter more. So, you know, realistically, you want to get a combination that works right for your RPM range and your engagement speed, and for how you want it to engage the power when you're on the throttle. You want the power to be nice and consistent, and you want the torque converter to be working as long as possible. The longer it's working, the more power you're putting down. If it's just doing its thing and you look down, you know, if it starts out at 1,600 RPMs with the stock springs and stuff, and by 2,000 RPMs it'll be already done, and then you're just, you know, using your engine after that. The way mine's set up now, it engages at 3,000 and it's not done until like 5,000. So it's got a pretty wide range. So it's you know, when I hit the gas, it'll load up the converter, and you know, it'll just basically bog down the engine right at like 3,000 RPMs, and it'll just stay there. And then once the converter gets done, it'll just start accelerating after that. And then it'll go the rest. So I mean, the harder you lean on the converter, I mean, eventually you're going to hit a point where belt slip is gonna become an issue. And you know, I just got another belt in today. I would highly recommend only using Comet belts. Show you a little something here. So this here is a Comet belt that I use. Don't use this number. All these numbers will vary, but this is the one that goes with my size, the spacing between the torque converter and the driven. But I just got this other belt in here, and what you can see here is this is the Comet, and this is the not Comet here. So this one here has a much tougher material. When I push my finger in it, it's a lot stronger. Now this belt was 30 bucks, $36, and this one I saw on Amazon for like 21 bucks, so I bought it. But I just came in today, and this material feels a lot softer. Now, what softer to me means is maybe it will grip harder, but I don't know. It almost looks like it has fur on it when this one doesn't. Now, I don't know if this one just burned off, but I'm pretty sure this is how it looked through and through. So, you know, I have to say though that I'm pretty sure that the Comet belt is going to operate and last and function. If you're really trying to push these things, the Comet belt is the way to do it. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys out there that are asking questions about torque converters a little food for thought on the bike. Did take it down to the track this weekend. Things crazy. Yeah, I mean, get into it. You know, definitely torque converter is the way to go. I had a clutch on this last year, and the torque converter, it's just so much more powerful. So if you have the time and the money and the know how to figure it out and get it working and are willing to deal with it and replace belts all the time, you can get a lot more power to the ground with a torque converter. If you really wanted to get into it, you might want to look into a 94C Duster instead of a 40 series. The 94C Duster can handle up to 40 horsepower. This thing's rated for like 18 horsepower, but I mean, this thing is a 460 on methanol high compression engine that's making plenty of power in it, and it seems to do fine. It does have some belt slipping, and I think that is what the difference is. I think it's just that the 94C uses an 1 1/8 belt when this is a 7/8 inch belt, so you're going to have more belt surface, which will allow you to put more power down. But yeah, I mean, 40 series torque converter, that's a little look into how I get the power out of them. Give you another quick look at the bike before I sign out here. I got the side cover off right now. I was just doing a couple things with the timing. But yeah, I mean, thing runs strong, it runs hard. We're definitely going to be breaking the record this year. That's a given. It's just that easy. It's literally not even a question of if it's possible. It's just going to be, you know, which numbers I'm going to post. I mean, you know, the record's at 7.65 seconds in the 8th or something like that. This thing is going to annihilate that. It's going to make it look easy. So just a look at the mini bike 40 series torque converters. Hope that helps some of you guys. That goes out to the guys that were asking questions about that. You know who you are. Hope this helped. Paul from Paul's Karts. Have a good one.